Today, do you want to listen to video games without going through all that time-wasting gameplay? Nintendo has you covered. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where it's Halloween. I'm dressed like a gaming news anchor. Ooh.
Neat.
What was your costume?
I'm not wearing a costume.
Oh, you're a curmudgeon.
No.
You're an aloof goth.
That's all year round.
You're a weary millennial who's sick of capitalism.
Yes.
Spooky. Ubisoft, as masters of their craft, if their craft was constantly taking L's, have done the video game equivalent of direct-to-video releasing a B-movie to fulfill terms of a contract by quietly and without fanfare releasing an NFT mobile game in this year of 2024. Well, this is the big public launch. They had their Warlords mint back in 2023. It's a fairly bare-bones looking PvE or PvP tactical dueling game where all the heroes look like tabletop minifigs and you can buy new ones with crypto on the game's marketplace. A lot of outlets are reporting prices as high as over $64,000, but that's actually just one hero because the prices are user set, so some ambitious seller is just hoping for a singular idiot. Whereas Ubisoft is obviously hoping for a much higher number of idiots. We've already laughed NFTs out of gaming, so it's very funny to see Ubisoft still trying to capitalize on it, even after the embarrassing performance of their wolf-enhanced pants. But what I'd actually like to drill down on is the utter lack of interest or even care in the name of this game, Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles. Champions Tactics. Those are two unrelated words. Is it meant to have an apostrophe? As though these are the tactics of champions? No, it's the tactics of multiple champions. Right. Champions tactics, like we'd all normally say. What is Grimoria? A canvas, says the single paragraph that appears under the story section of the game's website, because you see, you, the player, are writing the history of Grimoria right now as you click little men and spend Ethereum to save Ubisoft the trouble of writing any story of their own. Which brings me to Chronicles, and I allege the word Chronicles should be reserved for works that are several, perhaps loosely connected, short stories, like The Martian Chronicles, and furthermore, a word that should never be used in the subtitle of the first game in a series. Because we don't know or care about Grimoria, so why would we ever care about what we're led to believe is a series of random stories about it? The name is artless and boring, but if Ubisoft was trying to make the game blend into the sea of monetarily aggressive mobile shovelware, great job!
Nintendo released a new mobile app called Nintendo Music that can stream and download music from Nintendo games. Wow, that's a lot of games in Nintendo Music. Anyhow, the best part is that it's free. Well, the app is free. You still have to sign in with a Nintendo account, and you can only use it if you're subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online. So is this another lockdown service where you can only access what you're paying for as long as you stay subscribed? Well, yeah, but as Beige optimistically points out in his notes, you could also consider it an enhancement to a service you're already paying for, or that you're paying a fraction for because you're part of a family plan you're sharing with 5 other friends, and don't worry, they're totally going to reimburse you for their share of that $100 a year. Totally. Anyhow, the app's supposedly killer feature is that you can loop a single track for up to 1 hour, which isn't really a common feature in other streaming music services, but other streaming music services don't have this. Oh, of course, this isn't going to stop all the complaints. All manners of influencers and TikTokers and YouTubers have been whining for years, demanding a way to listen to Nintendo music on their phones, and now Nintendo has given it to them, and it is absolutely not what they want. Because what they really want is the ability to listen to any music at any time without jumping through any hoops. And the Nintendo Music app is merely a dedicated app that you can download and stream for free with a subscription. And that seems fine to me, but Beige's notes here clearly say, no, Nintendo, we don't want that. Really, Beige? This is the same deal I get from Bandcamp and Apple Music and YouTube Music and Spotify if I used it, and Tidal. Is Tidal still around? Even I have to check that one. Anyhow, Nintendo must have stumbled across a monkey's paw while they were going through artifacts for their museum, because with this and Alarmo, they are racking up an amazing track record for giving people what they want in the exact way they do not want it.
Back in September, when Sony's would-be marquee hero shooter Concord enjoyed the whirlwind experience of being available for purchase for only 9 days, it was shut down, with game director Ryan Ellis saying on the PlayStation blog, quote, "At this time, we have decided to take the game offline and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. The decision has now been made, and it was to burn it all down and salt the earth so nothing grows there again," as Sony confirmed this week that Concord is never coming back and Firewalk Studios has been shuttered. Or, as Herman Holst, CEO of the Studio Business Group, put it, quote, "After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio," which I would say is not a path forward, but okay. It's not a shock to hear that the whole of Firewalk is taking the fall for Concord, but it sucks to read Holst continue with, quote, "I know none of this is easy news to hear, particularly with colleagues and friends departing SIE. Both decisions were given serious thought, and ultimately we feel they were the right ones to strengthen the organization." Right. Fire all the devs who worked their asses off doing exactly what management wanted is really going to strengthen the, oh, you just mean purely slashing 200 people from payroll. Gotcha. Okay. And what did Holst mean by both decisions? Because in the same announcement, he said they're also shuttering Neon Koi, a European mobile game dev who used to be named Savage Game Studios, raised $4 million in seed capital in 2021, got bought by Sony in 2022, and were working on a mobile action game that is also now canceled. It's totally unrelated to Firewalk. It just kind of snuck in there with a studio that is publicly perceived to have deserved it so that another studio getting shut down isn't being scrutinized too hard. At least the Neon Koi staff can write on their resumes that in their time at Sony they made nothing, while the Firewalk staff will wish that was an option.
Apple has picked up the rights to produce a film based on beloved educational video game series, The Oregon Trail. The film, though still early in development, has already attached directors Will Speck and Josh Gordon, while EGOT winners Benj Pasek and Justin Paul will provide original music and produce. Sources say that the film will feature original musical numbers similar to Barbie. Now, ignoring the fact that Barbie was directed by Greta Gerwig and The Oregon Trail will be directed by the guys who made Blades of Glory, conceptually, the film does have the potential to surprise and delight audiences. After all, the millennials and Gen Xers who grew up with The Oregon Trail as a foundational game are probably ready for a nostalgic experience where it's possible to own a home, encounter wild animals, and buy groceries. And perhaps the film is going to follow the example set by Barbie, and it's going to go high concept, offering an intelligent and deft 21st century perspective on both the cruelty and the absurdity of the American colonial project and the model of a lyrical Cormac McCarthy-esque anti-Western. Or maybe it'll give us a rich guy shitting himself to death.
Studios have really messed up all of our best "wouldn't it be funny if they made a movie out of this dumb game" jokes.
Yeah, Battleship, done. Minecraft, done. Angry Birds? It's a trilogy.
Apple already made a Tetris movie, so Oregon Trail isn't even that surprising.
You know, I hear there's a Picross movie in the works. Jack Black is going to play the little dot that you put in a square if you aren't sure if it should be marked or not.
You know, with the right script, that could actually be really good.
I think it could be good, yeah. Coming up, speaking of Alarmo, a Wii U hacker has managed to decrypt the clock's firmware and run custom code on it, displaying a picture of a cat on the clock's face. Also, Alarmo hackers are now my excuse for why I was late this morning.
Champions Tactics, Grimoria Chronicles. I went to their thing. They have a tab on their page. You click on Lore, Champions, and it tells you nothing. And Lore, and then Story, and it gives you that little paragraph about what Grimoria is.
That wasn't even a full, that was like, was that even a that was a sentence, wasn't it?
The full thing is like 4, maybe 5 sentences. There's at least a couple proper nouns in there, but that's about it. Yeah, it's incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's just, wait, almost had it. Cynical. It's a very, very cynical game. Calling it Champions Tactics reminds me of something with internet video production that we've always resisted, potentially to our detriment. When we were doing weekly sketches, right, we would name them something
that was surprising,
something funny that wasn't giving away what the bit of the sketch was.
Yes.
Right? Whereas other internet comedy things just call the sketch, you know,
The Spanish Inquisition sketch.
or like, yeah, man confuses bear with something, you know, just like explains what the conflict in the sketch is. And we never wanted to do that. And this feels like champions tactics, so that it just shows up in search, right? You're like, what's a tactics game with champions? Oh, champions tactics, right? Anyway, at this time, we have decided to
We have
do
ta-ta-ta.
Concord. Blades of Glory was actually a pretty funny movie.
Yeah, no, I'm actually not complaining about it. Although, you know what I'm also not complaining about? That we have so many alternate takes on this Oregon Trail story.
Oh, yeah, right. Cameron and Nelson submitted Oregon Trail stories. That one was Cameron's, but what I do appreciate about Nelson's is I'm just going to read it. Great things are about to start happening. Things related to video games about arduous journeys through a bleak, unforgiving American wasteland. Video games that challenge us to persist for untold miles across a brutal continent where clean water could be scarce or insects might bring dire consequences. But if and when we arrive at our destination, then surely fantastic glory will be ours. Desert Bus. Because CheckPoint, this show, is going to be off for 2 weeks. This week and next week for Desert Bus. Next week is Prep, and the week after that is Desert Bus. Desert Bus starts on November 8th. If you don't know what that is, briefly, it's a charity fundraising marathon. More in depth, go to desertbus.org and check it out. We start streaming twitch.tv/desertbus on November 8th. So tune in for that. It's a week long of nonsense, and it's going to be a blast. And I really appreciated. Chances are, if you're watching this channel, you're a fan of projects meant to raise large sums of money centered around dangerously long journeys across the vastness of the United States. So, yeah. Thank you for that, Nelson. I appreciate the Desert Bus plug, because we do want to tell you.
It's happening.
It's happening.
The bus cometh. The bus cometh, and the bus do not stoppeth for anyone. And do not stoppeth for Graham, because Graham will be on the bus. When can people see you, Graham?
I'll be on the night watch shift, which is 6 p.m. to midnight Pacific time.
Paul, when can people see you?
I'll be on Zeta shift, so midnight to 6 a.m.
Oh, see.
overnight.
So if you're
Beach will be joining me there too.
Oh, it'll be like so the CheckPoint hosts will be like in the evening shift.
Evening into night, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ian, who was just here last week, he'll be on Night Watch with me.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had an alternate punchline I suggested for your story about the Concord developers. I was going to, my punchline, which I think is even darker than yours, which was, what's the last line?
Oh, yeah. So I had a couple different takes on this as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, because it was, at least the Neon Koi staff can write on the resumes that in their time at Sony, they made nothing, while the Firewalk staff will wish that was an option. Because an alternate take on that was, at least Neon Koi can say that they made nothing, whereas Firewalk has to say they made Concord. Slightly different, but I like the one that I went with.
Mine was, at least the Neon Koi devs can say nothing, whereas the Concord devs are going to have to wait for digital archiving to work its magic, so then they can say that they've made nothing too.
Right, because that's all just gone.
It's just gone.
We're never going to see anything from that game again. All that work is just evaporated, which... I feel bad also for the Neon Koi people, because they've also never made a game. They were founded in 2020, I think it was. They did their, like I said, they did their seed funding round. They got bought by Sony. They've had employees working this whole time, and now they're fired and the game's canceled. They've made nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, boy, that sucks.
Yeah,
that feels awful.
It's sad.
They should form a support group with the that Netflix AAA studio.
Right, because that got shut down before they'd made anything too.
Yeah.
That was the other point that I was remembering. Your joke in the story, Beej's story about Nintendo Music app.
Yeah.
There's the bit about Tidal. Tidal does still exist, and I know that because I saw a headline about it yesterday about how Jack Dorsey, who owns Tidal now, had laid off a bunch of the staff because we need to act like a startup again.
Okay. I will say that Tidal launched as like, hey, we're going to pay people much more fairly and stuff like that. And it like kind of worked and stuff like that. I know my best friend, Adam Hancock, signed up for it because he wanted to pay musicians and stuff like that. I went with Apple Music because we're very invested in the Apple ecosystem and it still pays better than Spotify. But realistically, if you want to support artists, there's a great way to do it, and it's called BANDCAMP Bandcamp. Just buy their music. It's not even that expensive. Most bands will be like, shoot me $5 in my local currency and you can have my album, because it's still a better deal for them to just sell it to you directly. And you can even wait till Bandcamp Fridays when they are offered to pay for albums and give 100% of proceeds to artists.
If you want to give 100% of proceeds to us,
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't know how you would do that, because I think literally every
Service takes a cut.
service takes some sort of cut. But
The rake always wins.
you can do that via Patreon, or Patreon / Loading Ready Run. You can become a member on this YouTube channel. See members momentarily. Thank you, YouTube members. We have a Twitch. You can subscribe on the Twitch. You can literally just send money to PayPal.
Yeah, if you just want to send us cash for some reason, we're not going to say no. We're very open to being bribed. If somebody sent me $100,000, I'd send them my book right now.
That's an awful big number.
Well, I consider it a publishing advance.
Fair.
Maybe $20,000.
Please do not send that through PayPal.
No.
No, contact me directly.
You set up a wire transfer.
My email is kathleen@loadingreadyrun.com. That's not my PayPal, though. Encounter wild animals. Blah, blah, blah.
Wide animals.
Give me a big chonky buffalo. A thick lad. 8 feet square around, perched on 4 legs like an ottoman. You just kick it over and harvest the rich meat from underneath. Am I painting a beautiful visual picture?
It's some rich imagery, yeah.
I'm a writer. What can I say?
That's going to do it for Checkpoint for this week. But again, we will be back after a 2-week hiatus for Desert Bus, so tune in for that. Still doing Chill Point this week, though?
Yep, but it will be on Saturday, though.
Cool. There we go. All right. Happy Halloween.
Bye, friends.
Great job.